Aktienbrauerei Kaufbeuren Festbier.
And remember, life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. I have got another one from the ABK Brewery, or as it's more commonly known, the Aktienbrauerei Kaufbeuren. I think that's how it's pronounced. Don't give me a fucking hard time for mispronouncing it. The Germans need to learn to speak fucking English. Probably. Anyway, I've got some of their Festbier. Now, I'm on a mission to get Oktoberfest beer. I've tried 3, I've reviewed 3, can't get hold of the other 3. The other 3 are the Augustiner, the Paulaner and the Hacker. They're part of the Big 6 from Munich who produce beer for the Oktoberfest. Everything else is just called Festbier. And Festbier is produced for the Oktoberfest, but don't go thinking that the Oktoberfest is just about Munich. It's not. It's about Germany, and Germany celebrating their beer heritage. And a lot of the breweries, they brew special beer for this time, and it's usually a Märzen, and it's usually really, really good. They pull out all the stops and produce some fantastic beer. And I've got some of this stuff, this ABK Festbier. Now, I tried their Helles earlier, or their Hell as they called it, and it was lovely. It was really nice. I was very impressed with it. And I decided to, at the same time, to get some of the Festbier. And let me give you a little bit about the brewery. I've done a little bit about it when I reviewed the lager, but I'm not sure which order these videos are going to go up. I mean, I'll just do them in completely random order. You could be viewing it, and I could be reviewing a beer about 3 months ago, and it's just gone up now. So it's just completely random. I just do them and then put them in the bank, and then just throw them up as and when. So let's get on to this. ABK, they're from Schwabia. They've been going since 1308. Now that's a long time. And of course, Schwabia is part of Bavaria, or it's a region in Bavaria. And they're called Aktienbrauerei Kaufbeuren. I think that's how it's pronounced. Could be wrong. Basically, Action means shares. So what's happened here is a lot of shareholders have bought this place out. Now, this wasn't called ABK until the 1920s. Before that, it was known under other names. So in 1920, it changed its name to ABK, and that's what we've got here. Now, this lot were quite forward thinking. Back in 1308, not 1308, it was actually 1325. They were part of this guild of brewers who were based in Kaufbeuren, and 1325 I think that was, and they introduced their own purity law. That's nearly 200 years before the 1516 Reinheitsgebot. But their purity law said you can only brew with wheat, hops, yeast and malt. So, you know, they were pretty forward thinking at the time, and I'm pretty sure, although I can't be certain, but the Reinheitsgebot was based on that. Anyway, that's for another time. This, of course, is their Festbier, but they do others as well. They do a nice lager, the Hell that I've just reviewed. They do a Dunkel, which is really nice, and they do a wheat beer, and they do various other beers, which I'm going to try and get my hands on and review. But just for tonight, this is the Festbier. And just a quick one, as this brewery is shareholder owned. In 2000, and I think it's 2004, 2005, they were operating at a loss of 600,000 euros. Now, this just goes to prove that in Bavaria, and to a certain extent in Germany, competition for beer is fierce. And I'd imagine it's like that in the UK as well. But especially over there, if you're brewing shit beer, then you're going to end up going under. And I know Germans are very loyal to their local breweries, but this was in trouble, and an American called John Paul DeJoria, I think that's his name, he acquired the majority shareholder stake, and I think it was 2013 he managed to acquire all the shares, so it's owned by him now. And if that looks familiar, you've probably seen it on Formula One cars, because they sponsor a Formula One team. Now, I know nothing about Formula One, don't really want to know. If you like it, fair enough, not my thing. I'm more into 2 wheels than 4 wheels, but there you go. So let's stop gassing and let's investigate the beer. Right, this is 500ml bottle. It is 6% ABV. It is a Festbier. Again, as I said, it is especially brewed for the Oktoberfest. And this Kaufbeuren Brewery, they source locally grown Hallertau hops for their beer. Now, Hallertau is one of the noble hops. It's used in all the good Bavarian beer, and in fact, it's used in most of the good German beer. And it's got a uniquely earthy and spicy aroma and flavour to it. If you've ever tried a North German Pilsner, usually they're using Hallertau. On the odd occasion they could be using Saaz or something else of that ilk, but usually it's Hallertau. Hallertau are the most popular hops, I would say. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure they're the most popular hops that are used in Germany, certainly in the south anyway. So with all that going on, all that remains is to open it. Let's get it open. I have got the cap lifter. I should try and use another one. I've got quite a few out there, but I'll use this one. This is the Barfly one. If you've not seen these before, a lot of the beer reviewers use them. They're just based like a butterfly knife, but it's just a bottle opener. But yeah, they got a nice long reach on them, and you'll get every bottle top. No, you won't actually. You won't get every bottle top, because there is a Belgian beer. I think it's a Lambic that this doesn't fit. I have to use my K-bar one. I have to use that because that one is too small. So there you go, Lois. What are we doing? There's the cap. This is what I'm talking about. If you're familiar with the logo, you'll see that on some Formula One cars. This autofocus, he's doing this to wind me up a little. Look at him. Look, you little fucker. You're going to end up in a landfill when I get a new camera, you watch. Anyway, let's get it in the glass. And I've got my ABK glass as well, just so nobody can accuse me of not using the correct glassware. Not that it makes much difference. I can smell that from here. Smells nice. Nice caramel malt in that. Now that is a typical colour of a Märzen. Now Märzen, as I said, it was especially brewed for the Oktoberfest, and usually it tastes really good. And there it is in the glass. It looks like a bitter. It's got that amber colour to it, and if I didn't know better, I'd think that was a British bitter, but it certainly doesn't taste like a British bitter. What are we getting on the nose? Mixture of that Hallertau earth and spice, some biscuit malt, and a little hint of caramel malt. But it's all about the hops with this. Sweet malt, and them hops, sweet biscuit malt. Anyway, there it is in the glass. Fair bit of carbonation. Let's get it down the hatch. Zum Wohl, as they say in Germany. This has got that same characteristic as the lager. It tastes very sweet. on the first mouthful. Yeah, if I try it again, and I'm assuming this is what it's going to be like. Yeah. Super big, doughy biscuit malt with the merest hint of caramel on top of that. And then you've got a lot of earth and a little touch of spice on it. But this is all about the malt, as a good Märzen should be. But the malt is really sweet. And the trouble is, or is it the trouble? Could it possibly be that this is what these big macro brewers are doing? But it tastes artificial. It tastes almost like there's glucose syrup in it. But this obviously doesn't contain glucose syrup, because this conforms to the Reinheitsgebot. And the finish on it, it does give you that, you know, that typical Bavarian sweet malty finish that you don't normally find in the Pilsners of northern Germany. They're very dry, big hop emphasis on them. This is all about the malt, as you would expect from a Bavarian. That's really nice. Really nice. It's a mixture of biscuit malt, doughy malt on the finish, but there is a little touch of caramel. I think they've roasted these very slightly, or they've used like a crystal malt in this, a very small amount of crystal malt in this, because crystal malt will give you very, very sweet flavours, because effectively what you're doing is you're roasting that sugar and it gives you a nice sweet flavour to it, and I think that's what they've done here. The hops are very, the more you drink, the hops take a back seat. First mouthful, yeah, I was getting all them hop flavours, and on the aftertaste you do get a little bit of that spicy and earthy hop, but everywhere else it is all about these lovely sweet German malts, and it's really nice. I have to say, that looks very carbonated when I first opened it, and there's a fair bit of carbonation in there now, but the mouthfeel is so smooth. It is really nice, as you would expect, again, from a Bavarian beer. And that is really nice. I am impressed with that. Lovely. Certainly doesn't taste like it's 6%. That's a really nice one. So what's the verdict on ABK Festbier? Yeah, it's a real good one, and I wouldn't have expected anything less from a Bavarian brewer that was brewing a Festbier. Now, of course, they're not allowed to take part in the Oktoberfest because they're not in Munich, but I would imagine that they do their own local Oktoberfest, and where they just sell this beer around Schwabia, and I imagine it's really nice. That would, you know, it's nice out of the bottle, but Christ almighty, what would that be like on draft? That would be absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, I have got no complaints about that whatsoever. Märzen is a real nice type of beer, and it's seasonal, and it's brewed usually for the Oktoberfest, as I say. So you're going to have trouble getting this, you know, not around the Oktoberfest time, and it is now September 2020 here. So, you know, Oktoberfest is looming. Unfortunately, it's cancelled in Munich. I don't know what's happening in Germany with it now, but they're still brewing the beer. I did think when all this COVID stuff started that they would stop brewing Oktoberfest beer, but they haven't, and I am so glad that they haven't. The Oktoberfest beers I've tried so far, I've got them all up there. The ones that I've tried this year, I've got the Löwenbräu, the Tucher, and the Spartan one. That's down there somewhere, Spartan Oktoberfest. I've got this here. Of course, this can't be called Oktoberfest. They just call it Fest beer, but it's nice. I'm impressed with that. I am going to give that, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. because it is that good. I am really impressed. And ABK, quite a good brewery. I'm impressed. I've tried the Hell, the Dunkel from them, and now the Festbier, and they've all been really good. And I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the Fest. What a twat. So yeah, that's a 9 out of 10, and that's recommended. And remember, beer is working class champagne.